And welcome back to Newsmaker Sunday. Brown County Sheriff Todd Delane joins us now. Todd, thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you back on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
I know that you have seen the George Floyd arrest video. What was your reaction after you saw it?
Well, I was shocked. I was disgusted, dismayed, and that moved to really anger of what we saw occur. Just like everyone else, couldn't believe our eyes what we saw happen.
After you saw it, did you talk about it with your people?
Oh, there's been much discussion about that incident. Absolutely.
Like, what do you talk about when you get all your men and women together? You as their leader, what do you say to them?
Well, I think we look at it and we analyze from our perspective what happened and how things would have been different here in Brown County, and wonder what happened and why things weren't different in Minneapolis.
And is this something that you folks train for?
Well, you know, any time of arrest that is made in the state of Wisconsin, first of all, there's training standards for the basic officer here in the state of Wisconsin. It comes from the Wisconsin Department of Justice, and every officer in the state of Wisconsin is trained to the same level. And as it relates to the incident in Minneapolis, what we see is a person taken into custody, and that happens on a regular basis for law enforcement agencies throughout the country. And immediately upon a person being taken into custody, it moves to follow-through considerations. And part of that follow-through consideration is to monitor and debrief. And what I mean by that is you're monitoring the condition of the individual that you just took into custody, and it starts with, are you okay? To all the other officers that were involved, is anyone injured? Is the subject that you just had contact with, are they injured? How are they doing? And then you start evaluating, is their condition changing at all? Is there any medically significant behavior that we're observing that would require additional assistance? Do we need rescue? Do we need any other treatment, such as maybe Narcan or some other stuff? Mm-hmm. So immediately upon taking an arrest, making an arrest, we move on to those follow-through considerations. It's making sure everyone's calm. We're checking for injuries to our officers and the subject, and then we continue to monitor that, which means making the person moving the person into another position. Mm-hmm. So sitting them up, making them more comfortable is, you know, really what we're trying to do, so that you don't have those issues.
So under state of Wisconsin protocol, essentially what you're saying is George Floyd couldn't have happened here.
It's correct. It should not have happened. Should not have happened in Minneapolis because of those follow-through considerations. I'm not saying that a person in custody could not die, because that can still happen. Mm-hmm. There are things that, for example, there could be a situation where a person had a fatal amount of a drug aboard, and we try to administer Narcan, and that may not be successful. But those are rare circumstances. And as I watched the video in Minneapolis, I saw a person who certainly was in need of medical assistance, needed to be repositioned, and quite honestly, there should have been far more communication with that individual and others around. So, and that's the standard. Are you okay? And if you have an individual saying, I can't breathe, I'm having difficulty breathing, then every attempt should be made to move that person to another position to assist them in breathing. And those are the things that we did not see in the video.
Mm-hmm. You saw the violence in Green Bay on Sunday night. Did that surprise you? Did you think perhaps that possibly could have happened when the peaceful protest started?
Well, I think it surprised most of us, because that's not what we would expect from individuals in Green Bay, Wisconsin. As you heard earlier, it started off with a peaceful protest, and we encourage peaceful protest. It's an opportunity for people to communicate, hear different ideas, and allow for that communication, which helps change. And that's really what we want to do. When you had some bad apples, change that into something else. It detracts from the purpose of the peaceful protest. As soon as you have rocks thrown and bricks thrown and things looted and damaged, it detracts from the purpose of having the peaceful protest. Something that we have a constitutional responsibility to allow to happen, which is a peaceful assembly. And once it transitioned to an unlawful act, a criminal act of an unlawful assembly, meaning damaging things, damaging property, looting, hurting people, injuring people, that was tough and that was disappointing, and it was quite surprising for many of us to see that occurring here in Green Bay.
Sheriff Todd Delane, we will be joining with you once again with Paulo right after this, so please stay with us on Newsmaker Sunday.